I don't believe in the tooth fairy, so I really don't believe that they will resign. I think that these are willful, purposeful men who have their own egoistic opinions and attachments, and they are convinced that they are right, and they will have their own way, whether the people or the teachers or the children like it or not.
We have our obligation to public education in this state, and we should continue to fight for public education in this state. The truth of the matter is we are in the most serious crisis that public education has ever faced. That's the reality. But you know, we're now in a phase where the events will show what is happening. The Superintendent of Public Instruction has called, for example, for all summer schools in the state to not be held. There's a very serious question about school opening in September. We have lost and are now short legally $750 million from our budget.
By the superintendent's own statement in yesterday's Los Angeles Times, the budget law estimates have been revised from the $750 million pre-vote rhetoric to $200 million. This places us at a budget level just below our 1976-77 budget. So the job we face is not how to wield a meat axe, but how to creatively use the funds that we have. I am here today to present to the people of Los Angeles constructive alternatives to the board's so-called doomsday budget, that they take the following steps. 1. Make a comparison of the last 3 budgets identifying any new items or items which have increased with an eye towards their reduction or elimination where practical. 2. Offer summer school programs for remedial purposes only, and only at those schools where necessary, to house the students on an area basis rather than at every school. 3. Reduce the number of adult schools from 29 to 12 and offer for free only those programs leading to a high school diploma and mandated bilingual programs. All other programs will be offered on a fee paid by student basis. Consolidate, number 4, with other school districts in the county, the joint development of instructional materials and other areas that are duplicated on a district-by-district basis. 5, the closure of Channel 58 unless other school districts wish to share in its funding. 6, the consolidation of the 12 area offices into 3 or 4 area offices. 7, the institution, review, and consolidation of the responsibilities of all district departments looking could be provided by either outside agencies or private enterprise should be identified. 10, efforts should be made to identify. With this, I have written to Governor Brown suggesting that the disbursement of...
If all 14 of these go into effect, can the school district operate without the massive cutbacks that are threatened?
They certainly can. In fact, as was mentioned earlier, the district, in order to reduce the class size from a 27-to-1 student-teacher ratio, according to staff, will have to find 1,786 additional teachers. Right now, they don't know whether they will actually have to reduce the teaching staff or not come September.
But we were told there was a $750 million deficit.
Yes, you certainly were told that.
Would you comment on that?
My comment is they have been exaggerating. From the very beginning, they have not included any potential revenue at all from any property taxes. In other words, they were reducing all of the money received from property taxes, where in fact we will receive a prorated share, I feel very certain that we will, from the remaining property tax revenue that will be collected.
So why is Mr. Miller making all these statements now after the election?
Because he's not happy with the decision of the people.
Mrs. Fiedler,
Doesn't that tell him something?
Yes, it certainly should tell him that he's not representing the point of view of the people, but then perhaps that's not what he's there for.
Are you certain that no teachers?
Resignation and Mr. Johnston?
What?
What do you feel about the call for his resignation and Mr. Johnston?
I can understand the frustration on the part of the teachers and on the part of a good number of citizens with the kind of leadership that they believe he has shown in not only this issue, but the integration issue. In the past several years, there has been a great deal of difference of opinion between the general public and the positions that he has taken. And I think that when you take positions that are seriously contrary to those of the constituents you're supposed to represent, that is the kind of reaction you could anticipate.
Does that mean you support him?
It means that I support the most representative people in public office. I think that my election was a mandate and a beginning step. I think that Proposition 13 is another step in this issue. I think that the people have become awakened after a long period of dormancy in terms of their participation in government, and that they are going to be looking for the most representative elected officials that they can find, and it will be up to them to determine who they believe are going to represent them in the future.
Does that mean yes?
It means that I believe that the people should make that decision, and I believe that they will.
Would you support a recall movement?
I would have to give that serious consideration.
Can you explain to us?
Call to have you resign, you and Mr. Johnston.
No such luck. And I think those events will demonstrate really the kind of serious situation we're in.
It's been alleged that you're still trying to fight Proposition 13.
We're not trying to fight Proposition 13. We're trying to save public education in California. It is my belief that the voters in approving Proposition 13 have a mandate for tax reduction, which is here, and tax reform, which is here. But I do not think the voters of California voted to destroy public education in California, and I and a great many others are going to continue to fight to preserve public education in California.
Mrs. Fiedler says cuts can be made in the budget so as not to lay off any permanent teachers. And she says, in fact, right now you're trying to recruit over 1,700 new teachers. At the same time, you've sent the layoff notices out to 18,000. How about that?
Well, of course, we're not trying to recruit new teachers. There is no contract of any kind that we've signed within the past several months that does not contain a clause that if this initiative passes, the contract is invalid. The truth of the matter is that 80% of all our expenditures go for people. When we lose money, 80% of that is for people. And therefore, we face a very serious situation. But as I said, we are now at a time where the events will demonstrate what is happening more than what anyone says.
Well, what about not laying off permanent teachers? She says cuts can be made so as to completely exempt permanent teachers from layoffs.
Well, I very much hope that you look at whatever proposals are put forth in terms of their impact and their numbers. There is just a basic truth here, which is that 80% of all expenditures are for people, for teachers and classified employees. Whatever cuts of any magnitude you talk about, 80% are for people. It's people that are affected. There's a reality here. To run schools, you need money. When you legally lose $750 million and you don't have that, you face the threat of people being laid off. But once again, we are past the point of statements simply determining these things. In the days and weeks ahead, in Los Angeles and throughout California, events will determine what the reality is.
Mr. Miller, to follow Mark's question, she has a 14-point proposal that will be presented on Monday, and she says that permanent teachers do not have to be laid off and that the district can meet its responsibilities.
Well, that proposal will be submitted for analysis, and we shall take a look at it and see. And I very much hope that those of you who heard that today will look at that analysis and analyze it yourself. First of all, we don't know what's going to be coming from Sacramento. The numbers change constantly. What we do know is that at this moment, we don't have enough to open or to function. And I hope you'll suggest all of these proposals to very close analysis and see how they finally turn out when the analysis comes in. In fact, there's no way to cut $200 million, $300 million, $700 million, or any number of that magnitude without very seriously impacting upon our employees.
Well, now, cuts and about how 80% of your money goes in salaries. Okay, she's saying that's well and good. Perhaps you can cut people.
We no longer have long-term substitutes in the district, except in a very small number. virtually our entire teaching.
At this juncture, no one knows for sure just how much money for schools will come from Sacramento. Board President Howard Miller maintains his stance that drastic cutbacks will be necessary. And yet board member Bobbi Fiedler said this morning that although some 20,000 teachers received their termination notices because of the economic impacts and uncertainties of Proposition 13, under her plan, she does not believe that a single permanent teacher would have to be fired. Stan Chambers, Channel 5 Newswatch, reporting.
The Los Angeles Unified School District since 1952. I am a parent and a resident of Los Angeles, and I am current president for the resignation of Superintendent William Johnston and the Los Angeles Board of Education President Howard Miller. By definition, leadership is a quality of a leader, the capacity to lead, one who inspires, one who sets an example. When those who are in position of leadership do not lead in ways that subordinates deserve, then for the good of all, they need to step aside to allow real leaders to take the reins. Several times before the passage of Prop 13, we urged the Board of Education and Dr. Johnston to realistically look at the budget and have an alternate if needed. All they could think of was fighting Prop 13 at that time and still seem to be fighting it. They are keeping the pressure on teachers, the ones who ultimately are responsible for the success of sound educational program. The teachers are being herded like cattle to hearings at great cost of time and money, and there's no legal reason to hold these hearings. There are hundreds of people in our district who are not in the classroom, hundreds of certificated personnel who never see children. We need to safeguard the classroom and those actually involved in the teaching process. Natural attrition, the public indicated that they must control tax money by their vote last Tuesday. When a third party is able
events are further verification of the resign immediately for the good of the district. Thank you.
Mr. Baxter, what do you think will happen if Dr. Johnson and Mr. Miller resign? What would happen?
Do things differently. I am a classroom teacher. I do not use coercion and manipulation of the children before whom I am a leader.
How would you perform their jobs differently?
In every way.
Specifically?
I would abdicate the use of coercion and manipulation. I would set my priorities right, which is the education of children, not their classification, their categorization, and their ultimate movement for some other purpose which does not meet quality educational needs.
So you would fight integration?
No, integration is a natural occurrence in a free society. It is not the consequence of coercion and manipulation.
What would you do about the court mandates? Specifically,
We have appeals that are available to this board and have been all along, but this board has not seen fit to engage in due process to the rights of the parties that they were elected and appointed to represent. And they have chosen not to seek and follow through on due process rights to which this school district is entitled because their priorities are out of order. They are bound by their own premise.
Mr. Baxter, it appears that you're condemning the entire school operation in the city of Los
In a
Angeles.
sense, I am. If every teacher in this district could come here this morning, they would say and agree with the things I am saying. And I would challenge this press to verify what I'm saying, not by going but to the so-called leadership of this district, so-called, but to go to the classroom teacher and take them out in the middle of the playground where they can't be overheard and ask them if what I'm saying is true.
Can it be changed?
Absolutely.
How?
It begins to change by changing the examples before the subordinates in any system. Your own radio stations, your own newspapers cannot function if your leadership oppresses and coerces and manipulates you. You understand that as a natural characteristic of human experience. It absolutely is an abomination in the public school system, because we're training children that the use of manipulation, the use of the abdication of personal responsibility is acceptable. Well, it's not. It's not acceptable to parents that love their children, and it's not acceptable to teachers that love their children.
Mr. Starr, replace them. Mr. Starr.
Mr. Helper.